Greetings, welcome to the witching hour, and tonight should be a good one. We got Yosuke from Nuclear War Now and the upcoming project of his Helios record pressing plant. So without much further ado, let's just bring him on and let's get into the discussion of the evening. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for coming on. So before we get into the whole record pressing plant thing,
Right.
what was your decision to like leave California and come to Texas? I think most people obviously know, but maybe some people don't.
Yeah,
What?
so I lived in California from 1997 to 2021. So it was a pretty long time. And I really enjoyed living there, especially at the beginning when the scene was pretty strong. But as the .com thing was happening, everything started to go up in price and people started to leave, especially artists and musicians. So by the time I left, it was not the same place that I had moved to initially. When I moved there for university, I went to UC Berkeley for biochemistry, and I did 2 years there. 2 years before that, I was in Virginia. I kind of screwed around in high school, so I couldn't get the grades to get into UC Berkeley initially. I knew that I wanted to study biology, but I ended up just going to a smaller school in Virginia called VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. They're more known for their art programs than biology. But I was able to keep my grades up and eventually transfer to UC Berkeley, which is highly regarded for biochemistry and molecular biology. So I had a great time at the beginning when I was living there. And I mean, it's a great place in terms of the weather, nature, food, but it was getting increasingly very expensive to operate a business out of. And when COVID hit, and we had the Summer of Love festivities in Oakland, it just became too sketchy to live there, run a business, and raise a family. So it just wasn't worth it for me and the family to stay there. We checked out Texas. We moved out here in 2021, but we came out here to just check it out at the end of 2020. We came out here and it was night and day. Whatever you thought of COVID back then, I thought that the reaction in California was too much. Some people thought it was okay, but I thought it was a little too much, locking down everyone and letting big corporations still prosper and make a shit ton of money. I thought that was kind of screwed up. So I wanted to check out a state that didn't have this crazy lockdown and had a little bit more freedom, better for smaller businesses like mine. So we came out here at the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. I don't remember at this point, but it was right before that crazy storm that you guys had, the freeze.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you guys had that crazy freeze, and luckily I missed it. I got the tail end of so it must have been January of 2021 that I came out here to check it out. So I came out here, checked it out. Unfortunately, the warehouse was owned by somebody who was very difficult to work with. So when I came out here, he just wouldn't let me see the building, but my realtor went inside and he got to see it, and he reported back that it was really killer. So I ended up getting this building without even seeing it. So that was kind of crazy. And and fuck that guy, he sucks. But yeah, that was beginning of 2021. It must have been, because it was right before that crazy freeze that screwed everything up.
That was a nightmare.
That was crazy, right? I just heard about it on the news when I was
Texas just infrastructure wasn't built for that type of weather, especially from a week or 2 weeks or however long it was of freezing below temperatures. Yeah, it was bad.
And then I guess it happened again. I mean, it did happen again in 2020 at the beginning, because I got I got the experience, and it kind of sucked because the the pipes froze outside. I'm in a
You're kind of up in the hill country, so it's even worse out there.
yeah, I'm kind of
I-
close to the Lake Travis, and our pipes froze at the warehouse, and of course it cracked, and
oh shit.
that was terrible. Yeah, we lost water for a couple days, and we were pissing and shitting outside in trash cans. It was pretty terrible.
You were actually
That
living
was
in
too much
nuclear
information.
devastation, nuclear winter at that time.
Yeah, no, it was, man. It was like fucking Mad Max, like living like crackheads outside. But yeah, it
Yeah,
was all right though. It just ended up just grunting through it. It was cold as shit inside too. We lost electricity for maybe a couple hours, but we just kept on grinding away and
yeah, like some
picking up
people
orders. Yeah.
lost electricity for like days.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah.
really bad in that type of
Yeah,
weather.
some of my friends in the city lost electricity for a couple days, and yeah, I mean it was below freezing, so it sucked.
We're
Right?
lucky in my house because we're off of a line that goes to a high school. We're on
Yeah.
their same grid, so they can't cut power to those.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So that ground, lucked out in that sense. I think I only had without power from one night. We were out
Yeah,
power.
that's not too bad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I used sleeping bags and blankets, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll survive the night.
Yeah, you made a little cocoon or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's
So,
great that you came out here, man. Of course, Texas loves it. So
yeah, no, I love Texas, man. The heat is something I'm still getting used to, but everything
yeah,
else is so
and
awesome.
unfortunately, last year is like when the hottest ever. So
Yeah.
I mean, it just in June it just said it's going to be 100 degrees, for 90 plus days now.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It didn't used to
We'll
be
see
that
how.
bad.
Yeah, we'll see how 2024 goes in the summer.
I expect it to be worse or the same.
Yeah,
It doesn't get
and
cooler.
this crazy freeze seems to happen every year now. I guess it's like a yearly thing.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's just like we're gonna have extreme heat and extreme winters now.
Yeah. Oh well, it is
Oh
what
shit!
it is.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. So see, what I
Yeah.
always laugh about too is like when I think of nuclear war now, I expect your building to be out like in a Mad Max type desert, like you
Yeah.
have to fight through all these marauders and everything to get to it, to get the ultimate death metal releases in the world. But what's awesome is nothing could be further from the truth, man. Your place is awesome. I think it's in a nice little area,
Yeah. Actually,
with,
we're sandwiched between two expensive neighborhoods. We got Steiner Ranch down the road.
you got
Past the
peacocks
dam.
on the grounds.
Yeah, and I don't like them anymore because
Have they
they
worn
eat
out
the
their
cat
welcome?
food, yeah, and they shit on the
Oh,
porch, and we end up stepping on them every week. But yeah, we have peacocks on the compound. So if
yeah.
anybody wants to take them when they shop here, they're welcome to.
I'll
Don't take
pass.
the cats. Leave the cats. Take the peacocks, please.
Yeah. No, the cats are cool too, man. Everybody loves the cats. That was like one of my wife's biggest things when we went there. Like, oh my god, look at all these cats. She's a cat person, so she was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
love it.
There's one sleeping right next to the computer right now.
Oh, is
Maybe,
there? Just chilling,
maybe if she wakes up, she'll be in the video on the live
making an
stream.
appearance.
Yeah, little cameo by Fat Socks. But yeah,
So,
the move to Texas was prompted by multiple things. I mean, even before the pandemic hit, things were a little bit weird in California. Politics were getting really extreme to the left, and they were coming after me for stupid reasons.
oh god,
You
I can
know,
only imagine. Yeah.
yeah. So that was kind of shitty.
And you're like, dude,
Because-
I'm just a dude that wants to make a record,
right. I'm just a guy that collects records and just likes art and music. So
Yeah.
I grew up in a world where we just judged art for art's sake and not, associated art with every word that was said in the lyrics or imagery or something. Like the example that I always bring up is, these people are always happy to come after people like me because I'm like easy target. I'm lower to the ground, but what about like Motorhead, Slayer? Motorhead had songs about pretty much pedophilia, You know,
Yeah.
Jailbait is pretty much a pedo song. I mean, my kid is, old enough to be part of that song now, so it really hits home,
You're like, wait a minute. Yeah,
Yeah, wait a
exactly.
second. Yeah, that's kind of pedo,
And I mean, and
or like,
yeah, Slayer, early they
yeah,
had,
yeah, I
all
mean,
the
Slayer, like,
symbols and all that on their
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, but they were just using it to make it more extreme. It's not like it was a political statement or something. It's not like Slayer holds any political power, and neither
Not
does
at
somebody.
all. Not
It's
at
a
all. It's just
stupid,
like you said, extremity. I find it funny when people actually do like take all that so serious. Like
right,
I don't consider myself to be some right-wing person, but I don't want to cancel someone who, says something I don't agree with. You know what I mean?
right.
That's not because, it can turn around and do the same thing to you at some point. And that's why you have to, stand up from people's rights to be able to say things. There's a
Yeah,
big
no,
difference
freedom of
between
speech is very important, and censorship is just bullshit across the board. It doesn't matter if it's coming from the right, like in the 80s with Tipper Gore,
or
or
the
from the
left now.
left
Yeah.
that we're getting now. It doesn't really matter where it's coming from. I think, that cancel culture or whatever you want to call it is just toxic to art and music and anything that's creative. We just have to let people do their shit and then judge it based on the music and art. So that's where I stand with that.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm right there with you on that. Because, you know, if you want to censor extreme metal, then it's no longer extreme metal.
No, man. I mean, look at Cannibal Corpse. They had a song called Hammer Smash Face, and she was asking for it. She was asking for it. It's pretty much like,
Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
that's just like, promoting rape and murder. So it's like a snuff film.
Yeah,
But it's all just pretend, it's just a catharsis for extreme emotions, and
exactly.
it's just art. I mean,
I don't understand why people can't distinguish like music from horror movies.
right, exactly. Yeah,
I
that,
mean,
that's
it's the
a very
same
good
thing,
point.
like you're just because you watch a horror movie, all of a sudden you're gonna want to go out and be a serial killer. I mean, I'm sure some
Yeah. I
crazy
mean,
nut, yeah, maybe, but most people know, it's just like you went and saw an extreme movie and that's that, you moving on with
right,
your day.
exactly. It's just a yeah, I mean, it's just outlet for creativity on the darker side, and that's what it is. Um,
Well,
obviously, yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone has political leanings this way or that way, but
sure.
I think it's very stupid and retarded to take your politics from music or musicians, because a lot of the music that I grew up listening to and I still like, the music was made by teenagers or 20-year-olds. I'm not going to listen to some opinion of a
Their
20-year-old or
worldview of a
yeah,
16,
exactly.
17,
Like
exactly.
they're not
Yeah.
even grown-ups. They don't even have a full understanding of life and what it's like to actually pay taxes and all this stuff.
All the fun stuff
Yeah.
that adulthood smashes you with. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that some people may take their entire worldview from their music. You know, I understand being inspired by art, but for me, as a 48-year-old, I can take art, parse it out in my head, take the good parts that I think is meaningful to me, and then leave the rest as
No,
as you should. You know.
I mean, I'm not going to name names. I'm sure Francisco from Jamming Out All Badass would want me to, but there's bands that I think are awesome, but I
Right.
know the members are complete jackasses.
Oh
You know,
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
I've worked with plenty of those too. Like I'm not going to name names, but I've worked with
it is
plenty
what
of
it
bands
is,
like
right?
that.
That's
Yeah, but you have
their
to
band
separate.
rules, but they may have some morons in it. It's just whatever. Right? But that's
Yeah,
what you
I
mean.
mean,
You judge it for the art they're creating, not for who they are.
right. The artist and the art are separate, in my opinion, and I don't care. Like okay, this one I will name because I really don't like him. Like the dude from Zemiel is such an asshole, but the music that he creates is really really good.
Yeah. You're not the first person I heard that from. So
Yeah, he's just
but
a
you can't
difficult
deny
guy.
you can't yeah, but you can't deny the music.
Yeah, I mean he's a genius. So I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm
Yeah.
still gonna listen to Zemiel, but I'm not gonna support the guy.
Yeah. Hey, I still listen to my old band Thornspawn. Not daily, but you know what I mean? Just the old stuff. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying it. You know what I mean? Even though
Right.
I didn't agree with a person in the band or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah. But early Samuel is fantastic in my book,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah. Everything. I actually like all of it, even the proggy stuff that they were
Proggy
doing.
stuff. Yeah, the
Yeah.
prog. I mean, I tried prog music. I mean, I think Watchtower's about as close as I'm gonna get to prog. After
Yeah, I
that,
mean, it's
I
very
just can't.
noodling and technical. Yeah, I don't really get into prog that much, but if something is linear and it's not so like left, right, this like angular kind of prog, then I can listen to it.
For
As
sure.
long as it flows, I can listen to it. But yeah, that's not my go-to for
Yeah.
rock music. It's usually just hard rock, heavy metal, and then extreme metal. Yeah.
And let's talk about the actual store inside
Sure. Yeah, so
Eastern Front, man. I think that place is great, but
Yeah,
let's
so
hear about it.
Eastern Front is kind of like an extension of NWN, but a separate entity in itself as well, because I have a different mission. For each project that I do, Eastern Front, Nuclear 1L, and Helios, I have specific things that I want to accomplish with each one.
Uh-huh.
And with Eastern Front, I wanted to create a record store that felt like you're walking into a record store in the 80s or 90s where you find stuff that's just not available anywhere else. So, and I tried not to list those rare records online because once you do,
Yeah.
they're gone. But
Yeah.
once in a while, if I'm hurting for money, I'll list some of it. But I try my best to keep it in the store so that there's an experience of buying that record in person and talking to me or one of my clerks about the record, because that's part of the metal culture. I think interacting with other people in the scene, talking about the records and the music and the art is something that's integral to the experience of being a metalhead. So
Oh, for sure. I here in town we have a store called Hogwild, and they used to have a manager named Ruben Luna, who, yeah, I'm gonna name drop it. He was staked on Blood Fire Death. He was very involved with
mhm.
the underground. So anytime you went in there and you talked with him and he showed you new stuff, he was like one of those guys you could trust, that he wasn't trying to
Right,
just
is
sell you
he that's the
something.
guy from Imprecation?
No, that was the other Ruben from Houston.
Oh, okay.
Ruben left Hogwild become a postal man.
Oh,
He's
okay.
yeah, but he was there for like decades, and he was the man, like during metal guy, like
Hmm.
got all the stuff and probably ordered stuff from you at some point,
Mm.
But it was like an experience to go in there, and you look forward to it. And then when you saw Ruben, and he said he would just like you need to buy this, and he's handing you like the first Deicide album, or
Mhm.
Incantation or something. It was so it's very. I know what you're saying. It's very it's a very integral experience buying records like
Right.
that.
Yeah, no,
And
I think it's important. I used to go into when I first moved to the Bay Area. I was living in South San Francisco. Actually, first I was living in Berkeley, sorry, and then I eventually moved to South San Francisco. But I used to go to Amoeba Music in both Berkeley and San Francisco quite a bit. And there was a guy who worked there named Steve. He went by Stevel, and there was another guy named Ben, and we would just chat it up and talk about metal for a long time.
yeah, it's
I mean, it was like part of the experience of going to the record store and shopping there. It just, I mean, it was almost like a daily activity. I would go there after getting off work or, getting out of school. And I did that for many years before I got married. So that was my, pastime. It was great. And
for
I
me.
learned a
It
lot.
was
Yeah.
on the weekends. That was like
Mhm.
a mandatory trip to Hog Wild,
Right.
especially in my teenage years and early 20s.
That's crazy. What was the craziest record that you found there?
Oh,
Like over the years?
craziest?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I was probably in that collection I sold you, but it wasn't the Bathory.
Hmm.
Dang, Hog Wild. Probably for me was meaning a lot to me was the Mayhem live in Lipstick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
original pressing on obscure plasma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept that one for my collection because I
Oh,
think
did you?
your copy was much cleaner than my copy. So,
Yeah.
um,
I was the type to, once I got something on CD, that
yeah.
was it. I didn't play the record no more because I didn't
Mhm.
want to wear out the grooves and all that. So once I got my CD version of it, I I know you're a vinyl guy. How do you feel about that? Because I know everybody says the vinyl sounds different than the CD, and
Uh, it was I used to be this like vinyl snob, in the early days of NWN. I kind of turned my nose up to CDs, but these days I see value in both formats, and for different reasons. Like with vinyl, you get a bigger, cover artwork, which is
sure, that is the
important to somebody
plus.
like me.
Yeah.
I really like the vinyl format, and when it's mastered correctly, recorded correctly, mastered correctly, and the visuals are all there, it's magical. There's nothing like, like listening to Black Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Gatefold Jacket version, or Volume 4 with the big picture across the middle, or
Yeah,
when everything is perfectly done. I think there is a reason why people prefer LPs. I have some philosophical views on why vinyl is better as well. Should I get into that now or save it for later?
nah, go ahead. This is an
Okay,
open-ended
well,
discussion, man.
I'll try to convince you, and maybe you'll buy back your collection.
At the
So,
same price.
well, yeah, it's almost all gone anyway. So,
Oh no.
besides the bigger artwork and potentially better sound, so I say potentially because it really depends on how it's recorded and mastered. So if it's just recorded digitally and nobody mastered it for vinyl, it might sound actually worse than the CD version. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
all these arguments over which is better, it really just depends. So that's the answer to the sound. So I don't really pay attention to that too much in 2023 now. If you're or 2024 now, sorry. um if you're looking at a record from the 60s or 70s when everything was recorded analog, mastered perfectly, and then cut perfectly, then it's clear that, a Led Zeppelin record pressed in the 60s is going to sound better than the CD remaster that you can buy now. So I think that there's no argument there. Same with stuff like Black Sabbath, Motorhead, all the original pressings. Like if you get a cheapo pressing of Judas Priest, Sin After Sin, and listen to that back to back with the CD version, you're going to see a huge difference. The warmth in the recording really comes through on the vinyl. So that's where it makes a difference. But unless you're spending the money to record analog, master analog, and then send that tape to the factory where the lacquer is cut by a very professional person who knows how to cut that music. So there's so many steps and factors involved in analog, vinyl, mastering and cutting. In any of those steps, it could go wrong and it could sound worse than a CD. I think CD there's just more consistent because there's nothing that gets done. So if the sound source is good and it sounds okay in digital format, that's just how it's gonna be represented on the CD. There's no difference. So going back to the vinyl and why 12-inch LPs I think are better. So one philosophical thing that I have is the artist or the musician usually, there used to be the case that they were writing for an album and they wrote the songs and arranged the songs such that it fits on a 12-inch format, and they might put the stronger songs towards the beginning and then taper it off on side A and then bring it back up with a very strong song on side B and then end very strong at the very end. So these are factors that you have to consider. And the fact that you can't skip songs, you have to listen to it in a way that the artist intended it to be listened to from front to end.
That is a good point.
Yes. Right. And the same applies to tapes, but tapes are so tiny. I don't think, and also you get the hiss and stuff. I feel like tapes are supposed to be reserved for demo tapes, just traditionally. That's like, I mean, at the end of the day, if tapes went away, I wouldn't care too much because the price of production on tapes are just crazy these days. They cost like twice as much as CDs now to produce, but you can't sell it for more.
Yeah,
that's the same price now.
That really surprised me when I heard that. Like Aaron from GoPro told me, goes, no, actually cassettes aren't cheap to produce anymore.
No.
And I was like, what? How is that even possible?
Yeah,
is it
I see
because
Aaron
the tape Yeah,
Mhm.
Aaron's hair. Is that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the tape is getting harder to get now, or is this?
No, it's the demand outstripping the production capacity of many factories. So it used to be like $1 per tape. I remember when I first started, I was like,
Uh,
I was making like bone all tapes or something, and it would just cost $1 per tape. So it was a great format just to have in the in the catalog. It was much cheaper to do. So mass producing tapes was just one way to get around the cost of other formats. But even back then, CDs were cheap. So CDs have not increased in price too much, even
so
with this inflation. I think CDs have stayed pretty much the same, maybe gone up a little bit, but you can get a CD made for less than $2 with the packaging and case and stuff. So whereas tapes are like $4 each these days.
well, I noticed too. You keep your vinyl prices pretty, reasonable when you have a new release or whatever. But I see some like other like labels when they come out with vinyl. It's almost like if you go into a retail shop, it's like $30 almost sometimes for a new
Yeah, yeah.
release.
Yeah,
And I
some things I have to price a little bit higher because of the packaging and the cost of licensing, but I try to keep the standard price at $27 across the board on most records. Like imprecation packaging was obviously a lot more elaborate, had a poster and a big booklet. In fact, the booklet itself was so thick that it cost more than the jacket to print.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you
That
wouldn't
booklet
believe
is
how.
nice. I actually got that from you. So
Yeah, yeah, that booklet is, that was like a it was just, labor of love because the band had so much archival material and they're semi-local. It was just much easier to work with that way. And it
yeah.
had to get done properly, after so many years of getting just kind of getting shortchanged. I think the first pressing of that record just kind of looked terrible with the black and white cover. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
I know what you're
I
talking
guess
about.
to wrap it up on the vinyl, my argument for vinyl, it really is a complete package when the audio's mastered correctly and it sounds great. The jacket layout is really well done. Cover artwork is
Yeah.
good. The lyrical content is good. So it kind of hits different formats of art. You got the visual, you got the lyrical, and you got the audio. So it's a it's a it's a complete package, is what I'm trying to say, and it's in a. I think it's the way that every musician would like to present their music as, if they had the choice.
Well, see, you got me there because one of the things, like being in a band, you do want ultimately you want a vinyl version of your
Right.
release somehow, some way, because it is very exciting to see the art printed
Yeah.
big and you can see the
Mhm.
details better, and it's just nicer to have the nice big pictures and all that. Like you said, and if everything from the layout and all that is done well too, it does add to the overall experience. Because
Yeah.
like to me, like nothing, maybe I don't know if the word jaded is like I want that same excitement, like and I know this is probably impossible, but like when you were going in the '80s into a record store and you're buying Seven Churches and you're just looking at it, even though it
Right.
was like pretty plain, but that the embossed Seven Churches in black and then the
Mhm.
pictures were really for me what's still the deal for that record. I was like, wow,
Right.
you knew this was
It's
going to
over the
rule.
top. Yeah, I mean, for
Yeah,
that time period, it was over the top with the
over the
inverted
top.
cross, and the cross is like lit on fire at the top, and it's just, yeah,
So
it's just
cool,
like,
so cool.
yeah, it's such a cool photo shoot.
And I was, like another one was At War with Satan, like
Yeah.
the book. It was a damn book almost, with the leather
Mhm.
cover and all that. So to me, it's hard to like capture that again nowadays. But some releases still do it. They come out and have like a really nice, like, wow, okay, I gotta admit, this is cool. I'm gonna have to buy it on vinyl. So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I always feel that way about, albums that I really like. If it's done well across the board, then I'll definitely get the vinyl. If it's not done across, like, done well across the board, visual and audio and the lyrical content or the text content, then maybe I'll opt for not even buying it because I don't really buy CDs these days.
I think
Like,
I just buy CDs because I'm being cheap. You know,
well, no,
I mean,
there's that
I
too. I
still
mean,
feel
not
like I'm
everyone does.
supporting the band. I'm not like just downloading it. You know,
Yeah,
I
no,
will get a
that's I think
physical
that's a
copy.
very good reason to buy CDs. Because not everyone has the money to buy a $25 record. For $25, you can actually buy two CDs usually.
I think that's
$12
my
each.
logic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's probably better because you're supporting two different bands, or it might be the same band, but yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
it's
this is a funny
probably.
comment from Disguster. That's actually Dylan from Head Split Records.
Oh,
What if
hey,
you
dude.
just made a CD with an oversized LP jacket? LOL. Haha.
Yeah.
This is my dream. I know this is silly and it's never going to happen. Just put a damn CD in with the vinyl. What is the pushback against that? Is it
Oh, I
just
think people have
manufacturing?
done that too. Like FOAD does that a lot, where the CD, and it's probably a good idea, and I've done some stuff like that. The Phobia record came with the CD. Um, I think it's mostly because if I'm going to do a vinyl record and if I like it enough, I'll probably do a CD as well. So it doesn't make, I don't know, just economically, it doesn't make sense to
Well,
put
yeah,
a
and
CD
as
in
you
one.
as a manufacturer, I can see that if you're going to press a CD version of it
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
then
A lot of labels will put digital download codes inside their records. And I don't know why, but I have this aversion to it. Maybe because you're kind of saying that you shouldn't listen to the record. You have to, download the audio and listen to it over there because it's
yeah,
easier.
I can see, and then like you said earlier, you're not
Yeah.
listening to every song again. Like usually, who's going to get up? Oh, I don't like that song. Let me go here to the record and lift up the needle and try to put it down on the next song. Or on
Right.
the CD, you just hit next and you're off to the next
Right.
song.
I mean,
Yeah,
somebody said you can't listen to records in the car, and that's perfectly
that's true.
reasonable. Yeah. But yeah,
But
just
I agree with this. I miss having CDs in the car still.
yeah, that's the thing. Like new cars don't even have CD players, right? Like my
No,
car is a piece
my
of
car
shit, so I
doesn't.
have
I was
yeah.
like, oh, no CD player. What the hell? Because I used to like going and buying the CD from the store and like throwing
Yeah.
it in, driving around listening to the new album.
Yeah, I have lots of CDs in the car because I drive a piece of shit, but the CD player is now broken. And
Oh no.
yeah, I don't want to get it fixed. It's just not worth it. So I just listen to podcasts on my phone.
That's
But
what
these days I don't even drive too much because I'm just at the warehouse all day. So I'm driving, 20 minutes from the house to here. And sometimes I just don't even want to hear anything. I just want to clear head before coming to
clear
the
head.
warehouse, because once I get to the warehouse, it's just total chaos. It's like running around like chicken without a head trying to get things done. So
It's all
sometimes
about
I
the
prefer
Bluetooth
peace and
now.
quiet in the morning.
Yeah. Because you know the chaos you're about to walk into. It's a
Right.
little
And
focus time.
I also listen to a lot of music at the warehouse, like test pressings and whatever else, new albums from different bands. Like just today I got the test pressings for Abadona. That's the Russian band that I'm working with.
Okay.
They're no longer around, but they're really good. I think Head Split should do the tape, Dylan. I'll
You
get
hear
you.
that, Dylan? You need to send an email off
Yeah,
to
it's really good.
Yosuke.
It sounds like uh first wave black metal, more like black thrash style, really raw. But they were
Oh,
doing it
really?
in '86 in Russia, which makes it very special.
Wow. Yeah, that's very unique to be able to pull that off on Russia in '86. That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite forums is before everything got defined by names, but the thrash, death
Mhm.
thrash and all that, like Sadist and everything like that. That was
Yeah.
I love that style, man. This is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
question. Um Yosuke, are there any NWN releases you are almost positive that you won't repress?
Yeah, there are a bunch of albums that I lost licensing to or lost rights to. So like the Midnight Back catalog went back to the band, and now they're pressing it through Metal Blade, I think. So I won't do those. Toxic Holocaust kept their rights. Dead Congregation, there was some dispute as to who owned the rights, and I kind of just let it go at this point, moved on. Same with
Okay.
Colonel Graves. We had some disputes. I just let it go. Life is too short to be arguing with bands. So
I guess
yeah,
that's
those,
true. Yeah.
yeah, those I don't, I won't repress. Damar, I think a lot of people will ask me about Damar, um, and Vaughn as well. So Vaughn, I'll address Damar first. So Damar
Okay.
was a band from Lebanon, extreme black metal. They were really good. I did one
Oh, that's
record.
the one that goes like for $100 now or something on
Yeah,
Discogs.
and I could never repress it because they asked me not to. So
Okay.
I never got a straight answer. I've talked to people who know them or knew them, but it's been many, many years since I've been in touch with them. But what they asked me was, don't repress it, and if you do, we'll come after you, or something to the extent. But I had no reason to repress it at the time. It wasn't that long after it was pressed, so it was a really weird email that I got. But I heard later that they might have gotten tortured by ISIS or whatever terrorist group was around back then,
Oh
because they were
shit.
thinking about anti-Islam, and they might have been turned, so forced into Islam again. So,
Oh wow, that's
but
crazy. See,
but
wow, see,
years,
that's what that's
yeah,
that's
that-
dangerous.
that's real war metal, I guess.
Yeah, that's real freaking real war metal. Yeah.
Um, but years after that, some videos surfaced of them playing punk rock in Australia. So I don't
Yeah.
exactly know what the backstory is, and I guess I don't really care. Uh, with Vaughn, I think what happened was, um, Vaughn or Goat or however whatever he goes by.
Yeah.
He was the visionary. He was the artist. He drew everything. He wrote all the songs. He ended up selling the rights to Satanic Blood to somebody else who was in the band for a little bit before the demos were recorded. So
Oh wow.
This guy Jason owns the rights. He went by the name Vanen, and he was still doing Vaughn for many years after I had done Satanic Blood Angel, the compilation of 2 demos and live recording. And he just kept on going with it. And I don't know exactly what happened, but his website's still up. And he marked all of my releases as bootlegs. If
What
anybody
the
can get
hell?
me in, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like legally, he did have the right to it at that point. So I don't hold anything against him. But if anybody knows where he is and can get me in touch, please try to get me in touch, because yeah, I would love to repress Bond, and I have all the material. The audio master and everything is ready to go. So it would be nice to repress it, but I don't want to do a bootleg of it. So that's that.
Yeah. I remember my friend Julian was in one of the reformed versions of the band,
Hmm.
and he left the band like never again. That's all he said about that experience. So I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, do you happen to know his contact? Maybe you can get me in touch with them, and he might know how to
Oh,
contact me.
Julian, this was
Yeah,
years ago. I can ask him, but it sounded like he never wanted to work with the guy again after that
yeah, yeah. I'm just
thing.
wondering if he has like an active email or phone
Yeah,
number or
I'll
something.
hit up Julian and ask him. It's Julian from Cult of Azazel, if you know him. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
him.
I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know of the band.
Like a jabroni. Okay. All right. So what I like about your store, just to wrap this up, back to the store. Yes,
Yeah,
it's a heavy metal record store. Like
right.
it's totally heavy metal. You're not gonna find, a jazz or a rap section or anything. You guys are strictly a metal record store. And
Hmm.
every time I go in there, I hear classic US power metal being played.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's like right up my alley. I'm like, yes,
Yeah. I
fucking
don't
Jack
know.
Panzer.
I guess I'm getting soft in my old age or something. I used to be like only harsh metal,
Oh yeah, same
and
way.
I always get pigeonholed as the war metal guy or something. But
Well,
uh,
that's a good question, dude. How do you feel about you know NWN being the war metal label? Even though if you look at your releases, it's not
yeah, it's
all
all
war
over the place.
metal. But how do
Yeah,
you personally feel about that?
I guess I don't really care. I mean,
You're just like
it is what
whatever
it
at
is,
this
right?
point.
Yeah, I mean, I use it for marketing purposes. I turn it around and just, you know, it I did kind of like I think it's because I push Blasphemy so much, and I've done all these other bands like Mobile Ciudad and uh, you know, so many others, you know, Black Witchery and all these other bands that I work with over the years, Revenge, Conquer. They are the genre defining bands.
Yes,
So
yes, you can't
as
deny it.
far as like Bestial War, black metal stuff, those are the, you know, those are the legendary bands that created a style and sound.
Here's you remember Joker Loken's son?
Yeah, of course. Hey, Joker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's saying, I were you a member of the Necropolis Hate Squad? Were you part of
I
Necropolis back
wasn't
in
a
the
part
day?
of it, but I used to go to their warehouse and buy stuff and trade stuff. And I don't remember if I overlapped at all with Joker. But Joker later played in Backsack Saxa, and
Yeah.
we saw each other at multiple gigs, you know, at festivals and stuff. So yeah, we had dinner together in Berlin.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Joker's a great guy, man. He's done a,
Mhm.
he's been on my channel, and I'm gonna have him back. We're gonna do some nerd stuff talking about our action figures.
Oh,
Totally
nice.
not, yeah, totally not metal. Oh hell, man. Here we go. There's Harold from yeah, I'm sorry, Harold, I'm blanking. I'm live. This happens to me. Caveman Cole.
Oh,
Very
cool.
hairy. Yeah. Harold's really cool, man. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congrats to Helios Press. Look forward to your
Yeah.
success.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna.
Joker's good people. So is Harold.
Yeah. Everyone on the chat. Hails to everyone on the chat for watching this shit live. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. The chat's very active. I always love that. Makes the show flow. We always say
Yeah.
when they're live, the chat actually can help make your show or break your show.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's more interactive. I never done
yeah.
this before. This is my first time.
Ah, you can blame
Yeah.
Necron for your first live chat. There you go. So yeah, I love the record store, but the only difference to me between your store and like a 80s record store or 90s record store, your store is very tidy.
Mm,
Like I can tell like you're you know, you run a tight ship in my eyes. Like everything's
yeah. We
tidy and
try.
yeah.
We
Where
try
like,
to keep. I'm a visually I don't know, inclined person, so I like things to be tidy, and I want, you know, artwork to be framed. I'm not going to just tape up flyers on the wall. You know, I want the store to look kind of sleek and clean. So yeah.
yeah, well, that's the impression I got. I mean, besides all the, you know, the awesome ancient metal and, you know, modern metal and everything else that you're going to see in there, it's a type shit. And I was like, wow, that's cool. You know, didn't have dust bubbles running everywhere, or, you know, records piled up, you know, this randomly crazy and all that. It's a good place.
Mhm.
All right, so let's talk about your new venture now.
Yeah. So Helios Press. But before I answer that, I think somebody asked if I was going to go to Destroying Texas. Definitely going to Destroying Texas. That's like a yearly event.
Oh, it was Joker.
Pilgrimage.
Yeah, I think he's debating coming down to it too.
Yeah, no, I'll be going. We'll set up a table. And hails to Carlos for keeping the fire.
Oh yeah, Carlos
Yeah,
is
that guy is
hard.
just like a
Yeah,
perpetual motion machine or whatever. He just keeps on chugging along. I love him.
yeah, Carlos rules.
Mm-hmm.
From day one, you know, when we started booking things in Thornspawn, Carlos was around in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now here's a question. Is it the Buc-ee's of record stores? I don't know about that, Francisco.
Well, it's not as cool as Buc-ee's, but you know.
I mean, if you had barbecue sandwiches in there, you might like, wow. I'd be like, I'm not leaving. Got sweet tea over here.
Yeah, I haven't tried their food yet, but yeah,
The barbecue sandwich ain't bad. You know,
yeah,
it's not bad.
I just like their clothing section because it's very eclectic. They just have all kinds of crazy shit in there. I'm surprised they don't sell guns in there. They'll just make it even better.
Hold on, let me tell you what I found. You know, no, it's not available. Here, I found this in a truck stop.
Really, they were selling that?
Yes.
Wow.
And somewhere I think in between San Antonio and Navalli, I got
Nice.
the Satiricon knife there. It's
That's awesome.
like wow, this is cool. And of course I use it now for promo pics because it's an awesome. So these are the type of things you can find in these truck stops.
Yeah. So Helios Press was something I wanted to do for a while. Just going back to days in Oakland, I had this like itch to start manufacturing something. So one day I bought 1984 printing machines. They had a German-made offset printer, digital printer, paper cutting machine, and folding machine. So I bought the entire suite when they were going out of business, and that was going to be my little venture into manufacturing, but it didn't work out so well because after the pandemic, I decided to move to Texas, and there was basically no way to bring that much equipment over to Texas, along with 50 something pallets of records that I was hauling to Texas, and that that was just really expensive already. It cost me like $25,000 or more just to get the records from point A to point B.
25,000?
Yeah, in hindsight, if I was
Jeez.
thinking more clearly, I should have probably just dumped a whole bunch of records into the bay, because
Get an insurance claim. Whoops.
Right, like I could have done an insurance claim or just wrote it off as damaged goods or something, Yeah. So it was just something I wanted to do, manufacturing in general. So after the printing business idea kind of just didn't work out, I was searching for something else, and for 2 years I've been thinking about it. I've been in Texas for 2.5 years or so now. So the idea of pressing records just made sense. It was either printing or pressing, right? Because a record is made up of two components, printed paper and vinyl record. So
true, yeah.
Since the printing just didn't work out, and I realized that's a really hard business to go into because there's so many printing houses in the US, but vinyl pressing factories, you can probably count them on your two hands in the US at least. I can probably name 5 off the top of my head, but not so many beyond. I know they exist, but I don't know more than 5. So you got United, you got Gold Rush in Austin, you got now I'm drawing a blank because I'm stupid. There's one in Florida. The caveman called dude might tell me. Chris Donaldson's opening up a factory in North Carolina, and got a groove in Ohio, and I think there's one coming in Houston as well. So they're popping up, and there are some other. I think there's also one in Georgia. Yeah, so there are roughly 10 or so plants in the U.S. operating.
And you're talking about like real plants, not like these little. Like I see, like like garage ventures and things like that. You're talking.
You can't do this shit in a garage. So, if somebody is advertising as pressing in their garage, that's impossible to do. You have to. I
got this on More Than Red last night too. Like I didn't even know that. Explain it.
It might be some sort of like a lathe cut operation where they're just cutting into plastic and that's it. It's just like a small run type thing. They're not actually pressing records. They're just cutting music into different material. You can do that. Yeah, Chris Donaldson's awesome. He's been very helpful, and he's become a good friend and a colleague of mine. Okay. So yeah, pressing records. It was just an obvious step. It was either that or just focus even more on NWN and just grow it as much as I can. Okay. So I'm probably going to do both, try to grow NWN, try something different. Helios, once it's set up, will help in growing NWN because one of the things that every label faces is at some point they hit a limit on how much they can store in their space. So I don't know if you've been to the back of my warehouse, but it's kind of a clusterfuck
I
back there.
remember when we did the trade and all that for some
Yeah,
stuff. You took me back there, and it looked like you were getting a little crowded, maybe in some
right.
areas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting well. It's more than crowded now. I got now records on the floor. It's not even on shelving. So part of the problem is with mass production. The mass part really helps in keeping the price down. So if you want economy of scale, you have to press at least 500 copies, and not every record requires 500 copies right away. But if you press less, the per unit cost goes up, and it's just not as economical, right? So you have to press at least 250 copies to 500 copies to make the numbers sort of work. If you're pressing 100 copies, then you have to sell it for more, and you're kind of taking a stupid risk, and the bands don't really like that either. Like, so the benefit of having my own factory is that there's no economy of scale anymore. Um, the only place where that kind of makes a difference is with printing jackets, and you also have to absorb the cost of plating and cutting the lacquer and stuff. That's part of the vinyl manufacturing process. You have to get the stampers that press the record, and that costs some money. But I can absorb the labor cost, the material cost, and there's no markup for me. So once I start pressing records for NWN, I can just press like maybe 50 to 100 at a time, and that will allow me to just keep the warehouse nice and tidy. Yeah.
So, how Francisco asked a question here: how many people will it take to run the actual pressing process?
When it's fully operational, we're gonna have 4 presses there. Each press will require an operator. So that's 4 operators already running at full capacity, and then a shift manager needs to be there, just making sure shit goes right. Somebody needs to do assembly of the records, maybe 1 or 2 people for assembly. There needs to be a shipping person that deals with palletized shipments out. So I don't know how many. I think like between everyone, it's probably going to end up being close to 10 people.
Okay.
So it's going to be a much bigger operation than NWN. Yeah. NWN is a very slimmed down operation. It's myself and 2 others, and then one. Sometimes my wife helps out, and I have volunteers. I have people in other cities helping me out with web stuff and technical stuff that I'm not good at doing.
Yeah, that's always good.
Like, the copywriting is done by my friend Jason or Craig. And my other friend Parker also helps out. So it's kind of a group effort, but in terms of daily employees that work for NWN on a 8-hour basis, it's just 2 guys.
Okay.
And myself. Yeah.
So you're going to take over a little more overhead in the plant for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be run more like a regular regular business operation where NWN kind of
this comment is outrageous. Do you need security? Hire Fraser. I don't know if you knew who Fraser is. He's a guy in the chat. He's a security guard. We're not going to get into all that, but you guys know that's a hilarious comment.
Well, the good thing about Brady is that it's really in the middle of nowhere, and everyone carries guns there. So I don't think security
it's one of those towns.
Yeah, it's one of those towns. Like, it's
how far is it from your current location? Like, how many miles is it?
It's right on 71. From my house, it's 2 hours. From where I'm sitting right now, it's probably 2 hours and 20 minutes. From Austin, it's more like 3 hours. But it's like on the same road that pretty much my house is on. So I just get out and then just drive for 2 hours on the same road.
Just keep going.
Right. Pass by like 10 different barbecue spots because that's Texas for you.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah, there's like what's that one? Opie's Barbecue. They're famous. They make
I've heard that name before.
Yeah, you probably know it because they have like metal themed T-shirts for their shop, like Iron Maiden and.
Okay, yeah. So that's always fun.
Yeah, so we always stop there if we have time, and Brady, Texas is like really just like a country town. There's not much going on, but what's funny is now the entire city knows about us, Helios. They don't really
Okay.
know about nuclear war now, which is a good thing because they're very.
It might
Christian
freak them
there.
out a little. Some
Yeah,
people.
it would freak them out. But everyone knows about this pressing plant idea of ours because when we were buying the warehouse, we were going there back and forth, and we met a bunch of people there. And then when we're closing, we went there to sign the paperwork to close on the warehouse. And at the title company, everyone, seriously, like 10 people in the room, they all knew about the company. They knew about what was going on.
Wow.
And I hadn't met any of those people. And then, so after the signing, we were looking for an accountant. So we went into an accounting office, and everyone in that office also knew us. So then they told us, you should go to the radio station because they're music fans, and you might, it's a good connection to have. So we walked across the street because everyone, Brady, Texas is basically just like 3 blocks.
One of those small towns.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
just went
for sure. I know
outside.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, walked, they have the square with the, building in the middle. Every Texan town has that,
Yep.
So we walked to the radio station, walked in. Again, everyone knew about us. And then the owner just pulls us into this room and interviews us right on the spot. So we were on the morning radio the next day in Brady, Texas, talking about pressing.
That's awesome, though, kind of.
Yeah.
How did you work around it, and just not bring up, oh yeah, a lot of my bands are like evil.
Oh no, I didn't even bring up.
You just talking about the record plant.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that I have a business outside of pressing plant. They just assumed that we were just young entrepreneurs or something. I'm not so young, but my buddy who's the business partner is much younger than I am. So I just let him do most of the talking because he's, he has no baggage. I have a lot of baggage with that WN, especially in a Bible Belt like that.
Yeah, that is one of the drawbacks I hate to say about Texas is, like, of course, in the cities there's really no worries, but in the small towns, super conservative. Pretty much every small town is going to be.
I don't mind the conservative attitudes as long as they're not censoring music or art or something. They can
when I say conservative, I'm basically saying religious conservative.
Yeah, religious conservative is a different flavor entirely.
Yeah, and not a political. Even though it's political, it's a lot more. It's Trump country and it's whatever. But you're gonna get the harsh, religion overtones over.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when I go there, I don't wear any black metal shirts. It's just like, black shirt, and it's just no band, anything. So I look like
I think as a metalhead, as you get older, you got to learn how to navigate those type of things.
Yeah,
the way it goes, man. So you were talking with more Red about how these are. Was it like, you didn't say analog, but they're not digital machines, right? They're more of a.
Oh no, they're manual machines. I think that's the word you're looking for.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So like, what is the difference there?
Machine.
Like, someone has to be there actually working the pressing.
Okay, I'm gonna go into a little rant that may bore you, but I'll do it anyway because it's fun.
Go right ahead, man. I got bottled water. I'm good.
The machines we got are semi-manual machines from Germany. The company is called U-Built Machinery, and we opted for manual machines because there are less moving parts. Basically, the human becomes part of the machine, and we become cyborgs, where we have to do a lot of the work that a manual machine automatic machines would normally do. So the components of a vinyl pressing machine is as follows. You have a hopper that holds the pellets of vinyl, the PVC.
Okay.
And then you have an extruder. As part of the extruder, there's a heating component, a heater, that melts the pellets into little pucks. They're literally like hockey puck looking things that come out.
Okay.
And then there is a press. that has the stampers that you get made. Stampers have the grooves. So that part you have to outsource. I don't do that in-house. I don't have that capability. So I would have to partner with another company like Mastercraft and Dietrich for cutting and plating. So that's the press. It's like a hydraulic press machine. It's got other components, of course, and it has temperature control. So you remember in my announcement, I talked about the boiler and chiller systems. The boiler creates the steam that goes into the machine. So right above the stampers are big plates of metal, and they have pipes running through them. And the pipes get filled with steam or cold water, depending on which part of the cycle you're on. So there's a heating cycle and a cooling cycle to pressing records. So you put the center labels on, and then you put the puck in, and the press takes the vinyl in, and it goes through this heating and cooling cycle, and then it presents you with the record back. And at that point, you take it out, and then you put it on the next component, which is the trimmer. So the trimmer cuts the excess vinyl around the edge, because when you're pressing records, you never put just the right amount. That just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. That's new to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would think that because with like injection molding or something, it injects the right amount of plastic so as not to waste too much. But with vinyl pressing, excess vinyl is just how it goes. So you get excess vinyl squeezed out on the side that needs to be trimmed. So you put it on the trimmer, it trims it off. And if you're smart, you would keep that and grind it and then reuse the
leftover
so,
elements.
A lot of factories will offer like eco mix. That's what that is. So eco mix is either rejected pressings of records ground up or the trim ground up. So smart factories will do that so as not to waste PVC.
Very cool. Okay.
So those are the basic components. You got the hopper, extruder, press, and trimmer. So what I just described, that process is a manual process or semi-manual, because the press itself is semi-automatic, semi-manual, however you want to say it. So there's a component to the machinery that takes the stampers inside for the heating and cooling process. So that part is automated, and the presentation of the record back to you, that's all automated. So with a fully automatic machine, there are a bunch of robotic arms and suction cups that move the record and moves the puck at the very beginning and suctions the center labels on there. So you can imagine if the puck is presented to the machine and there are a bunch of moving parts that grabs the puck and the center labels and puts it into the right place, and then takes the record after it's pressed, puts it on the trimmer that's part of the machine, and then trims it. And once it's trimmed, there's another arm that comes in, grabs the record. And this is all done through air pressure suction cups. So,
okay. Wow.
So I guess my point is there are a lot more moving parts to an automatic machine. And with any machine, the more parts, the worse it is to fix.
I was just going to say that something goes wrong with that one thing, the whole thing's up. You can't work it.
It's kind of like trying to fix a car from the 70s versus a car from 2024. Car from 2024 is automated by a computer, right? It's almost impossible to fix those things yourself. Now, car from the 70s, if you know what you're doing, you can probably change parts and fix a lot of things. Yeah. So it's the same analogy sort of applies to semi-manual machines versus automatic machines. So for our first machines, we opted for semi-manual just because, we visited several factories and the owners have told us the same thing. Automatic machines have a lot steeper learning curve, a lot more settings you have to worry about, a lot more moving parts that could go wrong. So you have to know the machine a lot better, and that learning curve of learning the machine is much steeper. So we didn't want to wait another 6 months just to learn the machine and before starting to press. So we started out with these 4 manual machines.
Okay.
So that's why long, boring story for why we chose.
But it's stuff I had no idea, about. So, but at least in my eyes, hey, you're giving people jobs, and that's
yeah,
cool to me. That's instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
opting out
That
for
was
the.
part of you know, uh, I don't know. I guess everyone knows that I had a job prior to quitting just recently
I
because I
remember
made
when
it public.
you
Yeah,
told me you literally
yeah.
just quit your job prior.
Mhm.
I mean, or like I think it was maybe that week when I went up there to sell the records that you
Yeah,
were like, yeah. And I was like, see, I didn't even know you were working. Was it a full-time job prior to?
yeah. I worked a full-time job, so my degree is in biochemistry, molecular biology. So I was working in that industry for many years. I was a tech support manager for basically bioinformatics division, software for analyzing gene expression and just genetic anomalies.
See, now
That,
that's like losing me. The records I understood, but this.
yeah, it's nothing all that complex. You're just looking at weirdness in how the genes are expressed, and then they
Okay.
try to link that to diseases. And also, we were doing sequencing, so next gen sequencing data would come out, and then we had software to analyze that, and it was looking for anomalies within the sequence of the DNA. Anyway, that world is just behind me now. I have no interest. But I did that for 20 something years just to support my family and just support
Sure.
the label because
Yeah.
it wasn't always the case that the label paid for itself. A lot of times I would have to put money into it. And I'm sure everyone who runs a label, Head Split Records, Goat Throne, I'm sure everyone has put their money into the
Your
label.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
you have to work a job and you pay for your hobby, until the hobby becomes a business. So that balancing act was happening for many years. And then finally I pulled the trigger last year to quit that job. Uh, but where was I? Oh, yeah, yeah. So my point that I was trying to make is in that position as a tech support manager, I saw a lot of outsourcing that I didn't like. So I'm not opposed to creating jobs elsewhere, but I would rather create jobs in the US because
Oh,
I feel
totally.
like
Yes.
we should take care of our own first before you start helping somebody else. So I have this mentality of um, insourcing as much as possible. So when I was working for this company, we had a tech support team within the US and everyone was well paid. The company decided we can save another $200,000 or something. So they just laid off the entire team one day. They kept me. I don't know why, but they kept me. I think it's because my manager was half Japanese or something. Yeah. Mary Jane Von Sant. Yeah. From Georgia. She was half Japanese.
Okay. She might have a soft spot for you. Yeah.
Yeah. She might have had a soft spot for me. I don't know. But she kept me while they sacked the entire team. It was pretty horrible. And they outsourced the entire team to India. So and then I spent 2 years going back and forth between the US and India, setting up a call center there and training people there. So I went there 10 times in 2 years. It was crazy. And I can't say that I like Indian food anymore because of it, because I had so much of it over the
I
years.
can see that.
Yeah.
But no,
Those
I like that. You have that attitude. Keeping America with American jobs and not outsourcing.
yeah, it's not even like
going on so much. It's just so disheartening because this might even lose the chat. But I always say, well, how's the economy going to keep turning if there's no people to spend money? I don't understand how this is supposed to work out in the future.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm no economist. I just like the idea of creating jobs in the US, I guess. And I like the idea of actually creating something in the US because not much is created in the US. And we saw the downside of this during the pandemic when we're
Oh, yeah, it was a
importing
nightmare.
yeah, it was bullshit. We're importing like medical goods and like masks from China and the goddamn disease
Toilet paper.
originated there.
Remember
Yeah,
the toilet paper
it
nonsense
was
and all that?
fucking stupid. So
and they still didn't fix the problem, by the way.
right, no. I mean, that was
they didn't bring back manufacturing at all.
no. Manufacturing is something that's long gone. I'm not sure it'll come back, full force. But at least with vinyl production, I think there is a chance of it, because the cost of sending records is so expensive.
The shipping is outrageous. Yeah.
Shipping is fucking stupid expensive now. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had to bring 4 pallets of records from GZ in Czech Republic to here, and it cost me like fucking $4,000 or something. That's $4,000 that I could have just put towards something else, like 2 more records or something. It just doesn't make sense. So I think the cost of shipping will increase in the future, and that will be the decisive factor for many labels to press with somebody like me, or Third Man Records, or United, or Gold Rush. So
for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get a lot of the metal business out there because I already have that connection. And the reason why I'm doing all these interviews is to get myself out there and make sure people know. Yeah, to let people know that we will be opening Helios for people like you, people who want to press extreme metal that might be frowned upon by somebody at United because they have a bunch of old women in muumuus working there.
Probably true. Yeah.
No, it's true, man. I went to GZ to press I got a nice tour of the GZ facility many years ago because I was pressing a lot there. I still am. I'm trying to phase out and start pressing in the US now that I'm going to be running my own factory here. So anyways,
is all the booklets going to be printed in there as well? The covers, and the booklets.
So all the paper printing stuff will be outsourced to places like Imprint, Indie Printing in Florida. They do posters and inserts there, and then they have a partner in Canada for printing jackets. They're printing houses all over the place, so we might try to do some custom jackets through regular printing houses that don't usually do LP jackets. But there's like Dorado in California, Stoughton does really nice tip-on jackets in California. So there are places in the US that does music related printing, so that's not going to be an issue to do. It would be nice to do them in Texas though, so maybe I'll partner with a printer in Texas and try to come up with come up with some sort of a jacket dye or something.
And the shipping, I guess, would be less, right? You're not going as far.
Yeah.
Francisco makes a good point. He says, I believe Francisco works construction supervisor. I don't want to give away too much, but he says, I've seen the same thing firsthand at a place I work at. Bring in people from Mexico, getting them work visas and paying them significantly less.
Yeah, it's a fucked up thing that big businesses do.
That should be illegal, Yeah,
it really should be, but I think, they'll just cut corners left and right with stuff like that. Is if they can save a buck, they will. And this has nothing to do with, Mexicans or Americans or whatever.
Nothing to do with that. No. You're not discriminating. You're discriminating against your own people.
Right.
That's who's getting discriminated against. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Yeah, and I think I have a very unique perspective in that I'm an immigrant myself. I came here when I was 8 or 9 or something. So it is what it is. I feel like I've seen both sides of the fence.
Sure.
I had to stand in line to get my immigration paperwork through, and it was a pain in the ass, but I'm very grateful for this country and I want to give back as much as I can. It's given me the opportunity to create this business that's kind of surreal, like NWN started in my bedroom. Literally, it was just the corner of the bedroom, and then it moved into the garage, and it was corner of the garage for a long time, and it took over the garage, it took over the living room. Eventually I was able to get a warehouse, and then I moved to Texas, and now factories getting built for Helios Press. So I think I am living the American dream for whatever it's worth. And I want to
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a thriving self-employed business. You're not working for someone. But I'm sure you have all the stresses too of running a business as well. It's not just easy money. I'm sure you deal with things and shit.
Yeah. to answer Joker New York City's question, yes, we're going to do a Kickstarter campaign starting March 1st, and we're working on that page now, in fact. And we'll set up a bunch of cool pre-orders. Obviously, we got to do Fallen Angel Doom, Conqueror, and some other classic NWN titles as Helios editions. We're going to do some interesting packaging for it. I'm looking at...
Okay, so they'll have their own unique...
Oh, yeah, I'll make
to them.
it very unique. So the jacket or the cover, I'm still doing some research and, putting some thought behind it, but it will be metal based. So it will be a sheet metal, probably like 3mm thick sheet metal that's either printed or etched with the artwork. And each copy will be pressed on like sunbursty yellow, black type of motif with special Helios pressing center labels. Each copy will be hand numbered and assigned to the person who purchases it. And, we'll do some sort of nice thank you list insert that has everyone's names in it that contributed to the fundraiser campaign. So we'll make something very interesting. Oh, Goat Vomit repress. No repress, but they actually recorded an album after 20 plus years, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah.
Oh, really? It's good?
Oh, yeah. Nice. Goat Vomit new album is going to be fucking killer. I've been listening to it constantly for the last couple of months. I'm just waiting for them to send me the rest of the material. So I got the cover, which is also killer. And yeah, we're just waiting on the band photos and the final audio master because all I have right now is the rough mix. So I think it'll come out sometime this year. Either it's going to be a Helios press record or it might be pressed in the US regardless.
Well, there you go, Harold. Some Goat Vomit breaking news for you.
Yeah, and we'll definitely press Caveman Cult at Helios Press.
Oh yeah, Caveman Cult's on your label. Did you like that demo? I was floored by the Caveman Cult demo that they just did, man. Yeah.
Rick is just a monster on drums. He's like, he almost treats it like a sport or something. He's just banging away.
I love that shit, though.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Attack them drums. That's the only way you're supposed to play them. All right, so they were talking about in the chat, so we might as well talk about it. You will be doing a fundraiser show, right? In Austin as well.
Yeah. Fundraiser gig. Yeah, thank you for putting that up. So fundraiser gig will be May 4th. So all the bands you see here are basically Texan except for Aries Kingdom. They're close enough to drive down, and everyone was nice enough to donate their time and their performance to the greater good of creating Helios Press, because all these bands will probably have records pressed there eventually as well. So I was, I'm especially honored that Aries Kingdom is driving 12 plus hours from Kansas City down for this gig. So very hail to Chuck, Alex, and Mike for doing that.
That's very cool of them. Wow.
Yeah, so you see the tagline of Somnium Helios. This is actually an Order from Chaos reference. On the album An Ending in Fire, the last 3 songs comprise a story, and that story is Omnium Helios, basically the dream of Helios. And the dream is that the sun actually implodes and destroys the universe, and it's supposed to be like a metaphor for Order from Chaos as design destruction, because they always wanted to just write 3 albums and then just disappear, right? So
that'd be it, yeah.
Right, and Chuck is such a good writer that he also wrote in the Conqueror Fear theme throughout the songs. So the Conqueror Fear is actually what I was focusing on more than just the literal meaning of the words behind Somnium Helios. So Conqueror Fear is a concept that Order from Chaos came up with. It's basically destruction of the weakness inside, and basically facing hardships, creating something from nothing, improving yourself. It's kind of like I think I said in a different podcast, but it's kind of like David Goggins of black metal or death metal or something, I mean, it has a very positive outlook for something as dark as Order from Chaos.
Well, of
So
course. Well, I think that with a lot of death metal, black metal is really is trying to just be the best version of yourself you can be, right? I mean, I know that's not necessarily it, but you're supposed to, everybody talks about being elite and all that. Well, you should really try when you do something, make it the most elite version of it that you possibly can.
yeah, no, I really took that to heart because I felt like my fear of moving forward with this project was always there because I was scared of the financial burden. I was scared of the unknown on the other side. But, living by the conqueror fear ideology really helped me get past that, basically conquering of fear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fear is basically the the cock blocker of growth, right? I mean, because if you can't get past these fears or do things, then you're just never going to grow. You're going to be stuck where you're at.
I've learned through the years that if you don't take a risk, you're not going to get anything done. So there's been many failures along the way, but they're just stepping stones towards something greater. You must learn from the mistakes, and as long as it doesn't kill you, it doesn't fuck you up for life.
Sure.
I think
that
within
risk reason, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be calculated with the moves you take. And I've done lots of research, and I crunched the numbers before we took the plunge with Helios. But still, it was a very scary step to take. When I first cashed out my 401k, I was basically jeopardizing the future of my family. I have a wife, I have a kid, I got another kid on the way. It's a lot of money. My first kid is going to be entering college in a couple of years, which means huge bills that I got to deal with, and she wants to go to medical school. So,
oh Lord, yeah, that's not going to be cheap. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, that was what I was supposed to do. So she's like reclaiming the family's honor by going to medical school. That's what she told me.
Does she have any interest in metal?
No, she doesn't. That's the funny thing. She doesn't like anything metal. She says that I was a failure because I didn't go to medical school and started.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
I mean, she obviously doesn't. She's joking, but
I know that's hilarious. We got a question from Death Lord of Human Annihilation. Will there be pre-orders for the new Diocletian? I can never say that band's name.
We don't have any plans for a pre-order, but they're going to do a tour this year in Europe, and we're pressing a tour edition for that right now. So they're still working on layouts. So we're going to create a tour edition just so that it's going to be a simplified packaging. And we'll get that done in time for their tour.
There you go.
There's the new material is fantastic. And there are 2 songs on it that has Caller of the Storms with Blast Me doing leads on it. So it's very special.
Oh, wow. Damn. That's cool. Do you have all the rights to Fallen Angel Doom forever? Like, is that?
No, it's more of a gentleman's handshake deal for Fallen Angel Doom. And since I've been working with them and supporting them for so long, they sort of trust me with it. I do own the rights to Gods of War now. Osmos was nice enough to sell that to me. I don't know, 5 years ago or something.
Wow. Hervé sold it, huh? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was just trying to be nice or something. Yeah. Hails to Hervé. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done.
Fortunately, I had an up and down relationship with him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a businessman, so sometimes he makes very cutthroat decisions, which rubs the wrong, rubs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But he can also be super cool too, as well.
Yeah, and also I judge the man based on his accomplishments, just like I judge bands based on their music. Just look at the Osmosis back catalog. You can't deny Osmosis back catalog. It's like,
no, you can't.
As far as black metal is concerned, the Osmos is it. And then, for death metal or something, it's like Peaceville,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, look at all those releases that came out. Rotting Christ, Immortal, Marduk, Enslaved,
First Samael.
First Samuel,
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Yeah. Impel Nazarene. I mean,
You know,
the first three Impel
I
Nazarene.
mean, he was, the dude, the major player, I would say, in the black metal second wave type stuff.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it was crazy for a while. He was just, whatever he was releasing was like gold. Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah.
was like an early Metal Blade Combat type situation. If you just saw the Osmos logo on there,
Right.
well, you're good.
Yeah,
you're
it's
good.
gonna be good. Yeah. I mean,
Necromantia, yeah.
yeah, Necromantia. I mean, there's so much. Yeah, it's hard to remember all of them. I mean, there's so many of them. Enslaved, Marduk. Yeah, I mean, the list just goes
It
goes
goes
on and
on.
on. Yeah, Master's Hammer too. Yeah, it's crazy.
Now here's a question I wanted to ask you: is there a band or bands where you like thought about signing them and then you didn't for whatever reason you don't get into, but then when you saw them come out on their label and you heard it and you're like, oh man, I should have.
Yeah, there's been several of those. Like, I remember this vividly because for some reason I didn't do it. I don't know why. So I was in my garage in South San Francisco with my friend Jason, the one that interviewed me just recently. And a band called Ripe for Revenge had sent me their demo. And I was already friends with him because I work with Incriminated on the split with Barbados. So I knew him, Sammy.
Okay.
And for some reason I turned it down. It was like, I think it was the audio for the first 7-inch or a demo or something. And I regret it to this day because I really like the early Ride for Revenge material. So there you go. That's one.
One that got away.
Yeah, that one got away, unfortunately.
Well, like you said, sometimes you make mistakes and you learn and you just, keep on going and try to find the next thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another band. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else.
Okay. Here's a question. Any Brazilian band reissues, Sarcophago, Impurity, Judas Iscariot? I don't know. That's just a question.
Yeah. So I would love to do Sarcophago, but that's under lockdown by Gray Haze. Gray Haze is doing a good job, so no problems there. Impurity, I am talking to Ram Priest about possibly working with them on their next album, so that might happen. Yeah. Judas Iscariot, those are just bootlegs that I carry.
Okay. Well, it's almost impossible to get a hold of Andy nowadays.
Yeah, I would love to come to Brazil. I mean, I don't know why I haven't been there yet.
Well, didn't a bunch of your bands play a fest down there not too long ago?
Yeah, a bunch of my bands play down there all the time.
All right. You should go to a Born Now Fest down there.
Yeah, it's almost like a satellite because I think the taste in music sort of overlaps a lot with Brazilians. So Eduardo Bejarrit, the guy who organizes Brazilian Ritual, he works with a lot of the same bands. Oh, I would love to do Dark Rain on vinyl as well. But yeah, going back to Brazilian Ritual.
Well, maybe you can facilitate that, Aaron.
Yes, please, Aaron. Thank you. Yeah. Brazilian Ritual, I think he stopped doing them, but almost every single one had one of my bands on it. So Blasphemy played it a bunch of times. Death Worship, Bloody Vengeance, Witchcraft, Impurity, Goat Penis, Mystifier. Like all these bands that I work with also played Brazilian Ritual. So it's kind of like a satellite Brazilian NWN Fest in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
I just missed the last one because I had too much shit going on. And I had Never Surrender as well. It was just too hard to do everything. But yeah, I mean, one of these days I'll go down to Brazil because I really want to try Brazilian food in Brazil.
I would like to try an actual real Brazilian steakhouse in Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to try.
I want the real deal,
Yeah.
They're good here. We have a couple here in town that are fantastic. So I can only imagine what the real thing must be like.
Yeah. I went to one, and I apologize to all of my vegan friends out there. I'm no longer a vegan. So,
But
that's
you're in Texas now.
yes, Texas turned me.
We
Um,
corrupted you.
yeah. Yeah. I went to one called Estancia or something in Austin. That was really good.
Oh, we got Chamagacha in San Antonio. It's pretty good. Come by just slicing the meat off for you, and you just tell them, "That's good, thanks." It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Vegas has great everything when it comes to food almost.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Now, what are you talking about here? Want one? Are you saying? Be more specific, Aaron. A vinyl?
Maybe
Yeah.
he's gonna bring us a Brazilian steakhouse.
Yeah. With all his pious leave his profits, he's gonna take me out to a nice Brazilian dinner. I'll be so happy for that. Even our beverages have meat in Texas. Damn it.
Yeah.
We're cut. So all right, chat. I guess we have covered everything we need to cover. So if you guys have any more questions, put them in there, or we're gonna wind it down here soon. I think anything else you would like to add to the
I don't know. It seems like there are a lot of people from other labels here. So one thing that I'll say to label people is to stay in this business for the long term, you got to do something different and find your little corner where you can do something slightly different from others. That's what I always try to do with MWN. That's part of the reason why I started inserting myself and showing my face a lot more, because I feel like in the past, NWN had an identity, but it was somewhat separate from me. Only people who was like, who were close to me knew that NWN was basically just an extension of my psyche. But now I'm trying to put myself out there more, partially because of the Helios Press project, but also because of, I guess I have this idea that this is the only way to market what I think is good metal, because the job of a record label is to curate music that you think is good. And probably the best way to do that is by linking yourself very closely with your label and making the identity of the label pretty much you, because that's what it should be.
An extension of you, right?
Right, because there's nothing worse than like these faceless entity labels, these enormous ones that may or may not produce good music anymore. Earache kind of comes to mind. Like, when was the last time that dude produced good music?
Decades.
Yeah, and I think it seems to be on like some sort of weird autopilot where it pumps out reissues that are decent. They call it fidelity something rather, but I just feel like they're just pumping out reissues to stay in business because they're not doing anything new or interesting.
They're not bringing anything new to the scene. And
Right.
I know they do those like pick which vinyls we're gonna press or something like that. And people pick, and then they do a repress of those. I mean, I guess that's cool, but it's not relevant to me. Like, what are you doing now?
Yeah, I think stagnation is the death of your spiritual existence. So, I think you have to just keep on moving forward and do something different. So yeah, that's my advice to all the record labels out there listening. You got to do something slightly different from other people. And, Dylan's great because he's doing these zines and putting himself out there. And I think that's something that I should start doing as well. Create more written propaganda. So
especially for you got all the bands, right? You could probably put a little zine newsletter together.
Yeah. Yeah. It just takes so physical media just takes longer to produce. So I think I'll put more energy into doing more interviews with bands and, try to get this podcasting off the ground on my side as well.
And you do have a YouTube channel, right?
I do. Yeah. I don't utilize it too much. I've done a couple of interviews. I'm gonna do an interview with myself, with my friend Jason. I did part 1 a couple of weeks ago, and I'll do part 2 this weekend because we didn't finish.
Okay.
So the goal is to grow that channel for advertisement, and also maybe I can monetize it at some point too. Who knows? Like, because I have the connections, right? Like I can get on the phone with pretty much anyone of prominence in this scene. So I can talk to somebody like Nuclear Holocausto from Beharit if I wanted to, or Black Winds. You know, Dylan's asking about Black Winds. Or
There he goes. Yeah,
I could get on the phone with Black Winds and have him tell the craziest fucking stories about some heroin addict dying on his couch just last week or something. And I'm not exaggerating. That's the kind of stories he has. That actually happened.
There you go.
Or the time. He probably won't tell this story, but I will tell it. And I don't think he would take any offense to it because he doesn't give a shit. But at one of the NWN festivals, him and his girlfriend were staying in the hostel. And we usually stay at youth hostels. So there are a lot of youth there. There are a bunch of teenagers hanging out usually in the lobby. So we were all down there. I think we were just waiting for the festival to start, or it was after the fest. I don't remember. But there were a lot of kids in the lobby. I don't know where Black Wind shows up, butt naked, like no clothing whatsoever.
Okay. All right.
And just out of his mind, I think he must have been on some sort of drugs. His girlfriend had kicked him out of his room for whatever reason and just didn't give him any clothes. So he came down into the lobby, butt naked. His dick was hanging out and everything. All the kids are there, like just mortified. Everyone was just in shock, and the manager was nice enough to just rush him to his room and take care of him. But that's just one of many stories of just craziness.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a normal day in the world of blasphemy, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot more stories. I mean, NWN festivals were always full of crazy stories. So I was just talking to Daniel from Down with the Most High earlier today. We were just reminiscing about stuff that happened at NWN festivals, and there was one that sticks to mind. I mean, there are many, but one incident where a proclamation. Main guy Juan Usurper, I don't know if you know him, but he's very buff. He's a weightlifter.
I think I've seen the pictures.
Yeah,
and all that.
He's an Olympics level power lifter. So he's enormous, right? And very strong. He's not just like a bodybuilder. He's actually very, very strong. And I think his name is Vlad. From the Russian band that I work with. God damn it. It's late in the day. My mind is blanking out. I'm sure.
Bro, I get on these things and I forget the most simplest things sometimes. Like a band I always listen to. I can't even think of the name.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. Maybe I'm suffering from Alzheimer's or something. But
it might be on my case, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, there was another band there, and they're a Russian band that I work with. The main dude is enormous too. He's just a bodybuilder guy.
Okay.
So they decide backstage that they would do a arm wrestling match. And Juan is so goddamn strong that he snapped the guy's arm in half.
Oh shit.
Like literally in half. And so I think his name is Vlad. I'm so sorry for not remembering shit right now. But he was such a trooper. He went to the hospital that night, got patched up, and he was already there back at the festival the next day with a little arm thing.
Oh, and that's awesome.
And we saw he showed us the X-ray. It was completely snapped in half. The two bones were just disconnected entirely, right in the middle, right here.
This part.
Yeah, wow. it was just snapped right there. It was fucking crazy. Yeah, so you must have been in like great pain just taking pain medication.
That's mega, dude. It snapped. Damn.
Yeah, I mean the dude was a diehard. So yeah, there you go.
Well, He sounds like he should be on the Nuclear War Now label. If you can
Yeah, and
remember.
if somebody in the chat, can remind me who the fucking band is, because I'm drawing a complete blank. I don't know why.
Is there any news on this front on the Necrovore
I have
release?
not heard back. So for those of you not aware, I was talking to John from Necrovore about reissuing the 87 demo. He doesn't like the 88 demo, but 87 demo for sure he wanted to do. So we were talking, and we kind of agreed on a structure for payment and everything. And then he was moving to San Antonio. I don't know. I don't remember where he was located. New Bruns, whatever. What is that
New
called?
Braunfels,
Yeah, Braunfels. Yeah,
south
he
of
was
you.
there.
Yeah,
Basically,
north of
that's
us.
where Necrowar was located.
Originally from, yeah.
Yeah. So he was back there for a bit. He's a smart dude. He's an engineer. So he was working there for a bit, and I guess he's now working in San Antonio. But ever since he moved, I haven't heard from him.
I'll need to bug Ross. I talked to Ross here and there.
Right. Yeah, Ross has a phone number, and apparently Ross was in communication with them as well.
They're hanging out together. I can tell you that much. They went and bought some equipment from a friend of mine. So that's all I know. Well, that's all I know.
I'll bug Ross as well.
Yeah, Ross. John seems to be what's the word? Not outgoing, but more secluded. Where Ross seems to be more open to talking with people, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly an introvert myself. I try to change it. Now that I have to do these interviews, I'm trying to be a little bit more
outgoing.
Yeah,
that's the word I was looking for. Outgoing.
Yeah.
I never had any plans to be some dude on YouTube and doing things.
Yeah.
But friends of mine pushed me into it, and I actually started just having fun. And it was like, all right, well, cool. Get to talk about metal and whatever else. Because my channel is, I guess, is mainly metal, but there are other things on there that I enjoy. That I like to talk about.
Yeah.
His name is Lincoln Hawk. Is that who you were talking about? Or are you being a joke here? That name sound familiar?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I never know when Francisco's serious or when he's joking. All right, dude. Well, I think we covered. Oh, the pressing plant.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing. You're gonna be, because a lot of things with a lot of the press delays now is like all these major labels are wanting vinyl versions of these big stars, like and all that
or whatever.
Yeah, which screwed up a lot of this stuff for independent guys. So how will you be handling that? Say like Sony all of a sudden sends you a big order. How do you handle that?
So my plan is to take Sony's orders and just fuck everyone else over.
Right,
no, definitely not. Somebody will clip that out and post it online or something. But no.
No shit. Yeah.
Our goal with Helios is to service as much of the underground and
see, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
It's Stallone's name from Over the Top.
Oh,
he was talking about breaking his arm. Okay, there we go. Good
Over
one.
the Top, such a great movie. We're definitely planning on servicing indie labels, underground labels, and directly with bands, directly with whoever wants to press with us. And we're going to be agnostic to the type of music. So, hopefully we'll be pressing everything from country music to spoken word to black metal to rap music. I don't give a shit. Everything is
your take business.
Yeah. So we will be completely genre, agnostic. We'll be pressing everything. So, and to address your question specifically, we're not against taking jobs from bigger companies, but we don't want them to just screw over everyone else. So we will take them if it doesn't delay or clog up the queue for everyone else. So we want to try to keep a turnaround time of roughly 3 months max. And if we can't meet that timeline, then we're going to have to just address that when the time comes. But um, our goal is to have a 3 months turnaround time or less, and not to clog it up with major label Taylor Swift type of jobs that
Yeah,
really means nothing to me. Like, I would much rather press. I'm not a rap fan, but I would much rather press some independent rap album that I want to listen to, um, rather than Taylor Swift, which I also don't want to listen to. But
sure. Yeah.
I really kind of dislike just on principle. So
Yeah, I just that's a lot what I heard from like delays from record. Not that I got some damn inside
yeah,
info, but that's all I heard. Like, yeah, it just weirded me out. All of a sudden, like normal people are all of a sudden like buying records, and like I have friends from work who are just normal people, but they buy all their music on vinyl. And I'd be like,
yeah. I mean,
weird.
I'm all for it. I feel like this resurgence of vinyl is good for the music community. It just gives something for them to purchase, I guess. Oh yeah, the forum.
Is it
Yeah,
gone? I don't even know.
yeah, it's gone. I got rid of it during the last Antifa attack. I just got sick of dealing with it, and I
People.
felt like I was carrying some sort of a burden for everyone else that didn't. I didn't really. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it back at some point, but I just don't have the energy for it. It was a lot of fucking monitoring and
Having to go in and delete
yeah,
things
just like
and
delete stupid trolls and stuff like that. It was just a pain in the ass at the end of the day. I had better things to focus on.
yeah,
And
then giving trolls time of your
yeah,
day.
actually, the
Yeah.
forum server still exists. So if I wanted to bring it back, I suppose I could. And, it would be frozen in time, so to speak. But maybe there's no need for it. There's been other message boards that popped up to replace it. I don't look at any of them. I don't have time. But apparently, my friends tell me some of them are okay.
Okay, well there you go. Everyone go find the other ones.
Yeah.
And
So,
Fraser asked a question earlier, so I'm going to give him throw Fraser a bone. How many records could you get out of the plant a day?
oh yeah. So, um, and I need to preface this by saying that all the stars need to align for a pressing plant to produce max capacity, because there's so many different factors to pressing records. So if the ambient temperature is just enough, perfect, and moisture levels in the air aren't terrible, and the boiler and the chiller is working perfectly, the operator is fully trained and perfect, and the machines are operating as they should, they're not off calibration. If all the stars are aligned and Satan's on our side, then we can press about 4,000 records a day in an 8-hour shift, 8 to 9 hour shift. We can do about 4,000. Now, the caveat is all the stuff that I mentioned,
Yeah, it
and
has to be
any
perfect,
one of
basically.
those things could be off by a little bit. And also, the other factor is how many different titles are we pressing in that time span. So if you're having to change the
Change
stampers
everything out and all
every
that.
200 copies or something, that's going to add to the downtime, because it takes roughly 30 minutes to change the stamper. So, and then you got to do some test runs to make sure that everything is on there correctly. And then, so all this QCing and setup cost is time. So yeah, assuming that we're just pressing one title per press and we're doing 1,000 copies of each title, then it's unrealistic probably, but if all the stars align, we could do 4,000 a day. Yeah.
So under a perfect situation for it.
Yeah, under a perfect situation. Probably in most cases we'll be going for maybe 3,000. I don't know. This is just based on information.
You're gonna have some good HVAC, AC, and all that type of stuff working in that place, won't you?
Oh yeah. So I guess I didn't go into it, but part of the fundraising is because we have to get the infrastructure just right. So we have the building now. We bought the building outright, and we're gonna buy the machinery outright as well. The next payment's due like in April or something. We already have the money saved up for that, and the next step after that is Well, we've already started construction on the building, but besides that, insulation and just making minor repairs on the building and stuff like that. The next step after that is infrastructure. So infrastructure includes HVAC system that's adequate for Texas heat. There's already one system in place on that building because people can work there if there was no AC. So the previous owners put in an AC system that was just cooling the office space. So the warehouse space was never air conditioned. I don't even know how they
typical Texas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Workers in the warehouse, we don't care, you're gonna die, but
they were doing like blue collar work, like cabinetry stuff. So I don't know how they were doing it, but they were doing it. So we have to put a couple more AC units in there. We have to do all the piping, electrical work, 3-phase for the machinery. We probably need to redo the lighting. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a pretty big sum of money we have to raise in the next couple of months. But we have multiple levers we can pull.
Yeah, I'm sure the upstart cost is astronomical.
So we're talking about like $300,000 to $400,000 before this thing is up and running. And we're trying to do it by the end of the year. So the first lever we will pull is Kickstarter, and the goal there is to raise about $100,000. So Kickstarter, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a site where you set up pre-orders. You set up a bunch of pre-orders. You price it a little bit higher than you would normally.
Sure.
You create incentives.
I do that with some comic books, I will admit. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like longer term pre-orders. So usually the pre-orders for a record, if you do it through your website, is like maybe 1 month or 2 months max. But in this case, it's going to be more like 1 year waiting time. So you're giving up that time, and also, you're paying a little bit more towards a project. So we'll have a bunch of records, T-shirts, and Rock from Sadistic Execution is going to actually donate some original artwork for the Kickstarter campaign.
That'd be nice. Yeah, very cool.
We'll offer, discount packages on the first order. We'll make it so that it's interesting for people. That's one lever we'll pull. And then the second one is NWN is still going very strong. So at some point we'll do some sort of, liquidation sale. So we have a lot of inventory that we can liquidate. So we'll do a sale and raise money that way. And that's the easy nuclear lever we can always pull. Third is the one that we've been trying to avoid, which is to take out a commercial loan. So, we always had this lever we could have pulled, but the reason why we didn't pull it in the beginning was because once you pull that lever, you can't pull it anymore. They're not going to give you another loan. So we have to really get that amount as small as possible before we pull that lever,
Yeah, that's true. Also, once you get all that money, they're not going to lend you a bunch more.
Yeah, I mean, you're already leveraged, so they won't give you another loan. So, and also, once you take out a loan, you have to start paying it back right away.
That sucks too.
Yeah, it's really hard to do when you're trying to build something to start having to, pay back a loan each month. So we didn't want that burden yet. So that's going to be the last lever that we will pull. However, the city of Brady, since they're being so cool, they're offering us some sort of low interest loan because they really want to see us succeed. That's one of the good things about being in a small city. This isn't possible in Austin. You couldn't even see it's really hard to see the city officials in Austin, but in a city like Brady, you can go down the street and talk to the mayor. So that's one huge benefit of being in a small city.
And that's on the flip side of that. That is a very Texan thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think this like spirit of independence and small business mindedness is something that I really like about Texas. It's kind of the American spirit is still here. I feel like in California, not so much. This this freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, as long as you don't bother people, you know.
Yeah, within reason, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
within reason, yeah, of course.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
um,
I don't know that. Unfortunately, I just think the coast just got, and I'm not some crazy conspiracy theorist, but I just think they just got infiltrated by a lot of communistic ideals. And now I'm not even talking socialism, but communism, and just
yeah, a lot of groupthink going on. I don't like any sort of group thinking, be it left or right. I think independent thinking is the best way to do it.
yeah,
There is a hierarchy to people, and I base it on their merit and how much effort they put into doing things. It's
very
not
good.
based on your stupid skin color. It's not
Not at
based
all.
on your stupid genes. You know, I know plenty of people of my genetic makeup who don't do anything with their lives. You know, so I think. Okay, there's a question here.
Yes, yes, yes.
NW and still working with Chabot, but yes, we're working on a split with Volon right now. Actually, it's going to be a longer term thing. I'm not sure when exactly it will come out, but there will be a Volon Chabot split sometime in the next year, I think.
Well, there you go. There's that answer. Yeah. Oh shit. Brogu has arrived. He's a cool dude. It shows up in the chat. What's up, Brogu? Live free or die.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's this definitely, that's the American spirit. What you've done with nuclear war now, and expanding into a record pressing plant, which I see the logic. You are having a big upstart cost, but in the end, it's going to help you so much because you can press your own records. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So the Kickstarter campaign is supposed to raise $100,000, $50,000 towards a boiler, $50,000 towards a chiller, and then there's going to be a lot of engineering cost and air conditioning, HVAC system costs. The other $200,000 that we have to raise is going to be for that. Maybe it's going to be even like higher than that. Who knows? But like I said, there are multiple levers to pull. I'm confident that we can get there. And the good thing is, since I haven't taken out a loan, there's no set time that I have to get this thing done by. So the goal is September or October, but if it slips by a couple of months, it's not gonna, it's not like the loan is due or something.
So, yeah, you're like scrambling, like,
right.
How am I gonna pay this thing and all that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, I have I was smart enough to buy some Bitcoin around 2020 before the craze happened. So at the beginning of 2020, Bitcoin was still like $20 or something. So I bought enough, and it's gone up. So I can cash that out and get a good chunk of money. But I prefer not to if I don't have to. Yeah.
No need to do it if you don't have to do it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, let's see.
Expand
Varvar, and what about their demos? Varvar didn't have demos as far as I can tell.
So
I did the
demos if they didn't have them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can ask my Russian contact, but as far as I know, they did not have a demo.
Yeah, Betty Tommy is like one of the obscure music guys around here, especially for Texas music. He'll bring up some bands sometimes in the show, and I'll be like, "Where did you find this? I don't even heard of these things."
Yeah.
All right,
well, Dylan, you should do the Varvar on tape as well. I can hook you up with that. I mean, if you want to do anything that I'm not doing, that I've done on vinyl, I can help you with all that, because it's all about helping the scene. I think that's one thing that I noticed in the vinyl pressing world. Everyone, for the most part, is very helpful. And this is something that needs to happen in the metal scene as well. I think it's not so much competition, but colleagues, because without a scene, without other labels and bands and other releases coming out, there's no such thing as a scene anymore.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like we all need to just unite and help each other. This might sound kind of corny, but I do feel that that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then it has a trickle down effect, right? A real trickle
Yeah.
down effect. Everybody, the bigger, I mean, I know a lot of people say, oh, the bigger the scene is and more posers and this and that, but
Yeah, but
I
today's
don't even know
poser,
anymore. Like, I mean, I know I still say posers and all that, but
yeah.
I don't even know anymore. Like,
Hey, but today's poser could be the next year's Die Hard. At some point I was a surface skimmer. When I was 12 years old, I was a fucking surface skimmer. I learned very quickly, but everyone goes through phases. Some people just start late.
that's
So I
true.
don't hold it against them. I don't really buy into this poser versus Die Hard, narrative anymore. I used to be more like that when I was
Well,
younger, but
I mean, I still do it because I'm old, and I'll still say it. But I
Mhm.
come from the days when the poser was the glam rocker.
Right. Yeah.
That's when that's where it all came from. Of course,
Right.
we hated the glam rockers. Except, we
Yeah.
were always mad because they always had the hot chicks, and we were always at the sausage fest parties. This is the
That's
way
what
it
it comes down to. It's not even about poser versus Die Hard. It's just whether you can get a girl or not.
was. Yeah.
At the root of every problem is a woman.
And before we
Somebody will.
leave, I'm going to do a little self promotion for me, because it is the witching hour, and
Yes, please do.
the shirts are still available. $25 ship. We are only taking orders up to Friday of this show, the Friday coming up, midnight. And that's it. I won't be printing them again, or at least not this style. Or I might, but probably not. But definitely this deal is $25 shipped in the US. Let me put this up if anybody is interested. Here is send to my PayPal, cnecron666@gmail.com. It's a color shirt, one-sided, $25 shipped in the US. Up to this Friday midnight. After that, your order will not go through. It's a one-time kind of thing that was offered to me. So that's my plug for me on my show.
Everyone should be buying this T-shirt because you have a great show.
Well,
This is
thank
this
you.
is probably the best one I've been to so far. I've been doing a lot of interviews, and this is the most metal one I've been to.
Well, I would talk to you about working out, but I don't work out, and I was working and I broke my hand, so that's my excuse for not working out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of new to the working out thing anyway.
Yeah, but I watched your interview More Than Red, and I thought that was good, and I enjoyed hearing about your daily regiment and all that, like waking up
Yeah,
at
that
6 in the
that was an
morning.
interesting talk because he kind of pushed me towards that, and he also works out as well, so it was kind of an interesting, non-metal topic. I guess it's kind of metal. Everything is metal.
I would see
Yeah.
it falling in the metal ethics, of being disciplined and all that. I know a lot of
Yeah,
people think metal, getting drunk, and whatever, and
yeah,
fucking
that's
shit up.
definitely part of it too.
Yeah, but then there's also like metalheads have to be fucking badasses, right?
Yeah,
And part of that is being healthy.
yeah,
You want to be able, some dude's gonna like beat your ass, you kind of want to at least be able to fight back a little, especially if
yeah,
you're with your lady.
yeah.
Oh man, Yosuke, I really enjoyed this. Thanks for coming on my channel, dude. It's good talk.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'll do it again if you want me to.
Oh yeah, when you do the Kickstarter, let's promote it.
Yeah,
on
let's
here.
do another one once the Kickstarter happens. Maybe we can do it while the Kickstarter is going live, so that we can see if anybody actually takes the bait. Or maybe
I
I'll
think your Kickstarter might do better than you expect, because I always see these
I
like
hope so. Yeah,
Kickstarters, and they always end up doing better than they expected. It's like,
yeah, and I really hope so because we could really use that extra funding source right now. Yeah,
I think a lot of people love what you're doing in the metal world, and of course everybody has distractors and critics and all that, but
yeah,
for the
no,
most part, I think everybody would love to support you.
yeah. I mean, everyone has haters, and I just ignore them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best because even like I catch myself, getting involved in that. Something like, what am I doing giving my time and energy to someone who's insignificant really to what I'm doing?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically beta males, of lower status, and they're just trying to aggravate you. I hate them.
Yeah, safely from their computer.
Right.
Never
So the
in
best
your
way to
face.
do it is to ignore. I mean, they won't bother you if you're not doing anything. Just think about that.
Yeah. If you never
So
read it, would it even mattered in your life at that point? Like it's just nonsense.
yeah, no,
Like everyone
ignore
say, they're
nonsense. Concentrate on what you're doing, and only move forward. That's the best approach to life, I think. Always compete with yourself, not with others.
my wife told me once too, and it made a lot of sense. She goes, "Why don't you concentrate on the people who love and like you, and not on the ones who are against you?" I
Yeah,
was like,
no, that's a good approach. I think that
"Wow,
really
that
makes a
makes a
difference.
lot of sense." Why am I giving stupid people my time when I have people
Yeah,
who actually want to help me?
right.
All
Yeah.
right, man. I think we are done, dude.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to you and all the people in the live chat. I really like this format. I mean, I've never done it, but the live chat changes the conversation a little bit, makes it more lively.
Oh yeah, I used to, when I first started, I would record them, and Francisco and Roy actually told me you need to go live. It's a lot better,
Mm,
and it is.
yeah.
I'm sure some people have their own opinions, but for me, yeah, I agree with them. It's live. You get to interact with the chat. People can ask questions, and it's just fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot more dynamic with having these like people saying stuff and asking questions. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, Joker hopes to see you in July in
Yep.
Houston.
At Destroying Texas. I hope to see some of you in Osaka, Japan as well at the NWN Hospital Fest.
That's right. You're doing one there. Is there another, before we go, is there one more country we would love to have the festival? I know we said Brazil, so we'll take them.
Brazil, I would love to go just to visit and eat their food. I really want to do a festival with Iron Bonehead in the Czech Republic because the cost is much lower there. The food is better, in my opinion, and the country is beautiful. And I don't know if you've been there, but
No,
Prague looks like a fairyland that was frozen in time.
I seen it on the movies, and it does look amazing. Like, is
Yeah,
this
it's
even
awesome.
real? Yeah.
Yeah, it never got bombed, so it just looks like a preserved
That's
fairyland.
why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fucking awesome. So yeah, I highly recommend people check out Prague, and I would love to do a festival there if possible. But we'll see. We'll see
Well,
what
if
the
I
future
ever
holds.
have enough money to go to Europe, I'll save my money and go to the Prague Nuclear War Now Festival, because that would be like two birds in one stone, man.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, it will be a never surrender. So it'll be my bands and Iron Bonehead bands, but it'll be great. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Yusuke.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Good
All
night.
right. Let me get my little outro thing ready to roll because I was too busy messing around. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Oh,
Yep.
Francisco has I need to promote Francisco's show. He has Mordant Red on Jamming Out All Badass Friday night doing a playlist. So check that out. I'll put Yusuke backstage and watch that Friday night, man. All right. Okay, we'll see y'all later. Hell.